Namaskar everyone. Welcome to IIS deemed to be University Jaipur. In my last class, I explained you the meaning of related persons and distinct or deemed persons. Now let us proceed further. Today I will be discussing the provisions of section 15 in detail. It will help you to determine that at what value GST is to be levied. The value of a supply of goods or services or both shall be the transaction value, which is the price actually paid or payable for the said supply of goods or services or both, where the supplier and recipient of supply are not related and price is the sole consideration. So, by this we will be able to find out the transaction value. This is denoted under section 15 subsection 1. There are certain inclusions and exclusions. The exclusions are covered under section 15 subsection 2 and exclusions are covered under section 15 subsection 3. So there is a misprinting. This is not 2, this has to be 3. So you can check this again through this diagram. So for completing the conditions, that is for calculating the value of supply on which GST is to be levied, these are the basic conditions. So we can have a recall again. Supplier and receiver are not related to each other. That is, they don't know about each other. Price is the sole consideration. That is, the seller is selling you something and he is charging a price for that commodity. So that value of supply is going to be transaction value, which is equal to price actually paid or payable for the supply. Now, in this value, in this transaction value, certain items are to be included and certain items are to be excluded. For that, there is a short and quick method of remembering the same. In case of inclusion, we will be reading 5 clauses. So these, if in the practical question, if you find anything relating to these 5 clauses, then you have to add the same in the transaction value. And for discount, there are 2 clauses. So just remember those 2 clauses and the above 5 clauses for calculating the value of supply. In my last class, I have already told you that there are various situations for calculating the value of supply, but the remaining 3 portions are not covered in the CA IPCC level. So we will not be remembering or we will not be studying those topics. We will be just focusing on the first topic, which is calculation of transaction value, and then there are certain additions and certain exclusions. So this is the portion which is covered in the CA IPCC level. Now, for calculating the value of supply, the items which are usually included in the transaction value, let me just explain you that section at first, that is inclusion in transaction value. The value of supply shall include any taxes, duties, cess, fees and charges which are levied under any law for time being in force other than this act. This act means Goods and Service Tax Act. That is, if any taxes, duties you have paid under the SGST Act, UTGST Act or CGST Act, then they will not be included. But if you have paid any taxes, duties, fees, charges under any other law, then such items are to be added back. So this is the first clause. Now, the second one, any amount that the supplier is liable to pay in relation to such supply but which has been incurred by the recipient, that is purchaser of the supply, and not included in the price actually paid or payable for the goods or services or both. So there were some expenses which are to be incurred by the seller, but those amount were paid by the purchaser. Hence, the seller did not included those amount in the transaction value. So we will be adding those amount back into the transaction value. This is the second clause. Now let's move to the third one. Incidental expenses including commission, packing expenses which are charged by supplier to the recipient of supply, and any amount charged for anything done by the supplier in respect of the supply of goods or services or both at the time or before delivery of goods or supply of services. So if there are certain incidental expenses like commission, packing charges, etc., which are charged by supplier from the recipient, right, and any amount charged for anything done by supplier in respect of supply of goods or services or both, then such amount are to be included. For example, you want that if you have purchased a refrigerator or a television set from a store and you want the store person to deliver the same to your premise. Now in that scenario, he would be charging some amount from you. Such expenses are known as incidental expenses or packing expenses. So now these expenses have to be included into the selling price. The next one is interest, late fee or penalty for delayed payment of any consideration for any supply. Now let me explain you this point through an example. Now that like usually what happens, if the seller is selling some commodity, say for rupees 1 lakh, and the seller gave you a time limit of 1 month for making the payment. In the contract itself, he clearly mentioned that in case you are unable to pay the amount within the specified time period, then he would be charging rupees 5,000 as a late penalty. Now let us assume that the payment is not made within the set period, and in that situation he charged rupees 5,000 as penalty. Now this amount will be included in the taxable value. So remember this thing. This is interest penalty which the seller has charged for delay in making the payment. Now, the last situation in scenarios of inclusions, subsidies. So, subsidies realized by supplier on the supply. Subsidies which are directly linked to the price, excluding subsidies which are given by central or state government. So, please remember this thing. We will not be adding those subsidies which are given by the government authorities. It could be central or it could be state government. But if there are any other subsidies which are given into your practical question, then you have to add that subsidy back into the transaction value. So we can have a quick revision of the 5 items which we discussed right away. The first one was taxes, duties, cess, fees and charges which are levied under any law other than GST Act. The second one, the amount which the supplier was liable to pay, but the amount were paid by the purchaser. Now the third one, any incidental expenses, commission, packing charges, etc., which are charged by seller from the purchaser. The fourth point was interest or late fee or penalty for delayed in payment of any consideration for any supply. And the last one, which talks about subsidies which are directly linked to the price, excluding subsidies which are given by the government authorities. So these are certain inclusions which are to be added back into the transaction value. Now remember, this section 15 applies to both goods and services. So this concept is not just for goods. This is all the clauses which we have read right away. They are applicable on both goods as well as on services. Now, So let me just give you a quick recap. We just talked about value of supply. We are calculating the value of supply on which GST is to be levied. So for that, we require three things. One is transaction value, one is inclusions, and the other one is exclusions. So transaction value is the actual price which the purchaser has paid to the seller. This is the actual amount which he has paid, or the amount which is payable from his side. In that, we added 5 items which are known as inclusions. These are 5 clauses. Do remember that other than these 5 clauses, there are no other clauses. Now, next we are going to talk about certain exclusions. So this is the most important thing, because usually student get confused in the exclusion portion, as they are not able to understand what this exclusion is going to tell you all about. Now, there are 2 exclusions in transaction value. It talks about discounts. So discount is another area that needs special mention and special attention. The emphasis to tax treatment of discount is visible in the repeated mentions of discount in section 15 subsection 3, where the value of supply will not include discounts provided. The first basic condition, it is allowed before supply. Just remember this line. If a discount is allowed before the seller sold you the commodity and the discount is clearly visible into your invoice, then this discount has to be excluded. Now the second situation, the discount is allowed to the customer after supply, provided that it is established in agreement linked to specific supplies and corresponding credit is reversed by recipient. Now what this is all about, the seller has already sold you the commodity. So if you can you see there are 2 points A and B, and the B point is covering 1 and 2 in Roman number. So for this B point, you have to comply with both these conditions. Now what these conditions are, let me explain you again. The seller has already sold you the commodity, the bill is already prepared, the invoice has already been issued. But now the seller, due to any earlier agreement which the parties have entered into, and they just forgot about the same, and the same is not included into the invoice. So now the seller wants to give you a discount. So now in that situation, what is to be done? First, now he wants to give you some discount, so that discount must have been excluded from your transaction value, and on the remaining portion GST must have been charged. But now since the invoice was already prepared, for example, suppose Mr. X sold to Mr. Y a commodity and he charged rupees 1 lakh for the same. So now the amount has already been collected. Later on, he realized that in their earlier agreement, there was a condition that if the purchaser is purchasing a commodity of rupees 1 lakh or more, then the seller has to provide a discount of rupees 2000. So now he has not provided you that discount, and the bill is actually been prepared of rupees 1 lakh. Now what he will do? Now for the remaining 2000 rupees, he could issue you a credit note for the same. And then what you have to do, being a purchaser, you have to reverse the input tax credit which you have obtained for 1 lakh rupees, because now the sale is going to be of rupees 98,000 only. So now in that situation, you have to reverse the input tax credit. Now let's read both these points of discount. First point, the discount is provided before or at the time of supply if such discount has been duly recorded in the invoice issued in respect of such supply. Second situation, sale has already been effected. Now after the sale has been effected, he wants to give you a discount such discount established in terms of agreement. There was a earlier agreement in which you have talked about some discount, or before the time of supply they decided that they would be giving you a discount. Any of the situation. This second situation is just like the A point, where he realized that he should provide you that discount of rupees 2000. So he eliminated that 2000 from rupees 1 lakh and issued an invoice of rupees 98,000. So B point is just like that A point. Now the second situation, in case the bill was of rupees 1 lakh, so he received a ITC on rupees 1 lakh. For example, the GST rate is 18%. So he received GST of rupees 18,000. Now what happened? Since the value has been reduced, now it's not going to be 1 lakh, it is going to be rupees 98,000. So for rupees 2000, if I calculate with 18%, it comes out to be rupees 360. That rupees 360, I have to reverse it back, being a purchaser. So input tax credit as is attributable to the discount on the basis of document issued by the supplier has been reversed by the recipient of supply. So if you fulfill this condition, then in that scenario this discount will be reduced from the transaction value. So I think you must have clearly understood the three important sections of value of supply, that is section 15 subsection 1, 2 and 3. Now let me explain you some various types of discount. That portion is not included in my PPT, so just listen and note it down. These are very important points which I am discussing right away. You can find a word in the question like in bill discount. I am repeating again, in bill discount. Like I should write it in my PPT also, so it would be helpful for you. In bill discount. Now what this discount wants to tell you, it means this discount is allowed exactly at the point of supply. So it will be excluded from the transaction value. So you can write over here, in bill discount excluded from transaction value. If you find the word staggered discount, periodic discount, volume discount, secondary discount, then these shall also be excluded. Now the next point is on bill discount. These are those types of discount that are allowed after supply through a credit note. So since a credit note has been issued, so it will be excluded from transaction value. So again, this will be excluded from your transaction value. Now you could also find some types of words like free stock. Free stock. So this is just like, if I think, then this is just similar to discounts, where I am not charging anything and I am providing you some commodity at as a free sample, right? Then in such a case, the stock given away as taxable outward supply in exchange of non-monetary consideration flowing from the manufacturer to the dealer entitled to such free stock. So now this free stock will again be excluded from transaction value. So if you find anything which is given at free of cost as a sample, free stock as a sample, excluded from transaction value, right? Now the next point is discount in kind. Discount in kind. These are those that are allowed in the form of holiday packages, gold coin, motor vehicle and other object of high perceived incentive value. To begin with, these articles are rarely stock in which the parties are dealing with, so outside the scope of section 15(3). So again, this will again be excluded. So if you are providing any discount in kind, it will be excluded. Discount in kind excluded from transaction value. Right. So these are just some of the few examples which you could remember. If you find such kinds of words into your question paper, then directly eliminate the same, as these are part of exclusions. Now let's move to the next section. So we have covered section 15 subsection 1, 2 and 3. Now the next one is section 15 subsection 4, where the value of the supply of goods or services or both cannot be determined under subsection 1, the same shall be determined in such manner as may be prescribed. In such manner as may be prescribed means government will prescribe you the method which you are required to follow. Usually they talk about various rules which begins from rule 27 to rule 35. So we do not have to consider the same in IPCC level. So let's move to the next section, which is section 15 subsection 5. Notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1 or 4, 1 was about transaction value, 4 was where transaction value rule is not applicable, then you will follow the rules prescribed by the government during that tenure. The value of supply as may be notified by the government on recommendation of council shall be determined in such manner as may be prescribed. So what is the difference between section 15(4) and 5? In 15(5) there is a list which government prepares on the recommendation of council. So they have specified you the method, the rates which are to be followed for such commodities. And 15(4) talks about those commodities which are neither covered in 15(1) nor a list has been prepared by government on the recommendation of council, and these commodities seems to be taxable under the GST law, and they require some specific method to be followed. So by this I hope I was able to communicate you, able to make you understand the various laws and rules which are applicable under the value of supply. So by this we have completed section 15. From next class onwards we'll be talking about registrations and the various procedures relating to registrations. That's it for today. Thank you.